We knew this book was probably going to be bad. We've got the second issue of the final swan song of Collin Kelly and Jackson Lanzing at Marvel Comics, Giant-Size X-Men Dark Phoenix #1, the insertion of Kamala Khan, I guess, into all the history of the X-Men comic books. What did you think about this, Doc? Was this everything you imagined it could be?
It's actually worse because, unfortunately, I didn't realize that I read the wrong book at first until after I finished, because I initially accidentally read the Giant-Sized X-Men Kamala Khan Giant-Sized X-Men. At least that one had Adam Kubert art. This one I had fucking Rod Rice art. And I'm sorry, he is one step above Baby Legs Phil Noto, looking like he decided, hey, you know what the best way to color a comic is? It's with either something between watercolors and, I don't know, that colored chalk that kids would use to draw on their driveway. I was very, very disappointed. The first issue was bad. This one actually got worse.
I only read the Dark Phoenix Saga book. I don't know what's going on. I know the Legion is hopping through time and Kamala's hopping through time to stop him. Why doesn't Legion just kill her?
So she got somehow tagged along on this because remember that Bruno guy? Apparently he went to, I don't know, art school over in fucking Europe for a little while and he was really bored. So he built a time travel detector. And somehow when that went off, they were sitting together and she got sucked in to the time travel shenanigans of future Legion, because this is like a Legion from like way, way, way in the future. That's why he's got gray hair and he's all wrinkly. There was no explanation. He just, I don't know, chooses not to kill her while killing everyone else. At no point do they explain why he just lets her be a thorn in his side other than plot armor.
You've explained to me a lot. Now I know why she's doing it, but I don't feel like I'm anywhere in a better spot to actually understand why the book exists or what it's trying to accomplish. I think it's just there as a vehicle to spotlight Kamala Khan and put her in past situations. See, yes, she was always there. They always loved her.
In the first issue, when she shows up in the past, Cyclops is crying on the front yard because the X-Men are trapped on Krakoa. And immediately he just is like, Kamala Khan, I've missed you so much. I can't. And then went inside and was like, I was on a team of the champions with her whenever I was in the future as a teenager. And then she just keeps being everybody's favorite. They are straight up poochieing this bitch into the X-Men lore so that when they come to the present and they're all done, everybody just has fond memories. That feels like the only reason this exists.
So we have the Legion from the future, and he's going back to the past to accomplish what? He wants to destroy the past so he can do what?
No clue. There was no explanation for this in the first issue, except for David Haller isn't inside of Legion anymore. That was not really important to the arc in the first issue. He just wanted to kill Krakoa in the first one for reasons that nobody explained. And in this one, he suddenly is really concerned about getting the David Haller personality back because apparently in his time, it's trapped in the White Hot Room. The Phoenix is like the gateway to the White Hot Room. Grant Morrison introduced some of this stuff. Then everyone in the Krakoa era fucked it all up. I thought I understood the mechanics of the Phoenix and the different Phoenixes, like the different colors of Phoenixes, and then the White Hot Room. But then Leah Williams fucked it all up. So I don't think I even understand it, except for he's there, and so he wants the Phoenix to get there.
So he shows up, and we have him, I guess, affecting the Phoenix, and the Phoenix is going to take on the X-Men. And Kamala grabs the Phoenix by the head with her giant rubber hand. The Phoenix then lets off like a flux of energy, explodes her hand, but her hand never goes away after that. Wasn't that weird?
Yeah. Look, none of this shit makes sense. I don't even think they're trying to make it make sense. They just need to do things that might make somebody think Kamala looks cool so they don't hate the fact that she's a miserable character with zero personality.
But Reed Richards has had a similar power his entire existence, and he's never looked cool with it. It's impossible to make stretchy giant rubber hand look cool.
Honestly, even whenever the Green Lantern makes a giant hand in space to punch somebody with their ring or a giant hand to slap them with, it doesn't look cool either.
But they're able to subdue Jean Grey.
They sort of did, but it was mostly, again, Legion butting in, let me be your host instead of Jean, because her brain is really weak and it can be shattered and you have to be delicate with her. But I have 1,000 personalities. My brain can't be broken because it's already broken. Come in here, you don't have to play nice. And I guess the crazy Jason Wingard affected Phoenix entity decides, yeah, that sounds like a better plan. Kind of just jumps out of Jean. And that's the point where everything else to that point, kind of wrong. This is where history goes off the fucking rails.
So we go back and everybody's mad. And they're like, this Jean Grey lady is real dangerous. Beast wants to kill her. There's all kinds of weird talk. The only person really standing up for her is Cyclops. You know, even Storm is going after her. And then Jean walks in on the awkward conversation and decides to go back to her room. And then we get this weird moment with Kamala going and sitting down with her, talking about how great they are and how they're just a couple of Marvel girls.
Yeah, they needed the opportunity to stick the, hey, I'm Miss Marvel and you're Marvel girl. We're just a couple of Marvel girls. And we are Marvels. Every opportunity they had to like shove the word Marvel in there, girl power Marvel all together, they took that opportunity. It was very heavy-handed. And apparently Kamala is like the world's greatest therapist because she convinced Jean to love herself.
It's like 5 or 6 pages
of Jean crying in her bed, Kamala Khan going, there, you're awesome and everybody should know you're awesome, but you have to know you're awesome before everyone else can know you're awesome.
But Jean Grey also admitting Kamala Khan's pretty awesome too.
Absolutely. You got to have the girls supporting girls. And then when she's done, everybody loves Kamala because she fixed Jean.
Well, and everybody then loves Jean once Kamala's talked to her and gave her the rub. You know, it's kind of like Ric Flair going a 60-minute time limit draw with one of the Rock and Roll Express. You know, it really elevated the character. Kamala Khan going to Jean Grey and letting her know that she still loved her. When she comes back, everybody apologizes profusely. Like, I can't believe I ever thought that you could be dangerous after you killed that entire planet of people.
Jean runs into the room because she feels the Phoenix coming back and needs to let everybody know, but they need to go first because they need to apologize. And then she never even bothers to tell them that the Phoenix is coming back. They just all somehow know. Wonderful fucking storytelling, you incompetent hacks. The actual plot and development of the plot and advancements of the plot never happens in this comic. Everybody just suddenly knows things that they didn't know before because they apologized or validated somebody. The whole point of this book exists to validate Kamala Khan, to show that every single other character loves Kamala Khan. They took all of the worst tropes of, hey, everybody else validates her, so you, the reader, need to like her. They did that every single fucking page of this comic book. And at no point did they ever consider, I don't know, a plot.
So then the Phoenix returns with Legion.
Yeah, it comes back, but it meets them on the moon. And that's how the Phoenix and the Dark Phoenix Saga ends, with them fighting Jean on the blue area of the moon. But now they got Kamala Khan as the world's greatest strategist to tell them how to beat the Phoenix.
Which is Legion, which should be, seemingly unstoppable. But yeah. Kamala is able to do it relatively quickly. She creates a force field egg around the Legion and just completely negates all of his powers as the Dark Phoenix.
She negates Legion's powers somehow, but then the Phoenix gets through the power. Jean decides to welcome the Phoenix back to her with open arms this time. And then so she could go and, commit suicide on the moon the way she did in the original comics. Except for in this story, all the X-Men fucking die. This whole plot of we need to distract him while you guys go over here so that after he fucking kills us, he's going to come for you. Why didn't everybody just go there? Even the fucking plan makes no logical sense. They didn't explain why they needed to do this. They didn't even imply why they needed to split up or why the X-Men had to fucking die. The ending of it where Jean takes control for just long enough to trigger the anti-celestial gun on the blue area of the moon and kill herself. That's what happened in the original, Phoenix Saga too, except for it was Scott and their psychic bond that got through to Jean and allowed her to temporarily overpower the control of the Phoenix so that she could do that and kill herself in Scott's arms.
But this time it needed to be Kamala that allows her to do it, so they ran and hid.
Yep. This is going to be 5 issues or 4 issues. It's going to just be Giant-Size Validate Kamala Khan because you're going to like her, and the beatings will continue until the acceptance of Kamala Khan improves.
When she dies, Legion is like, no, gets wiped out of existence or bamps to another time period and drags Kamala with him, and then we're in Age of Apocalypse. So I'm going to go out on a ledge here and say that Doc is going to give this one a recommend.
If you want your fucking head to explode with nonsensical, terrible plot, absolutely no even attempts to advance the plot just advances itself, and terrible fucking art, sure, go read this book.
Me personally, I'm not gonna do that, Doc. I'm gonna recommend people skip this one. I'm gonna give it like, do I want to be generous and give it a 1 out of 5, 2 out of 10? I'm being generous. 1 out of 5, Doc.
I'm giving this a 0.5 out of 5. It's just unbearable, borderline unreadable. And if you want anything approaching a logical story, don't read this.
Thank you very much to Doc. If you like the fully unedited, uncensored version of this review, along with our conversation about Jim Lee, Hush 2 delays, and DC Comics dropping the ball once again, you do need to go over to Think Critical Patreon, the Doc Unfiltered podcast. You also get lots of awesome stuff on the Doc is Right tier. Hope to see you there very, very soon.